Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Enterprise Weekend on Enterprise TV. I am Henry Igwebike. Just before we take a quick scan of what the newspapers have for us today, I will enjoin you to visit our website daily at www.enterprisetvnews.com, and also to remember to follow, like, and comment on all of our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Also, do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV 7. With me in the studios to shed good light on our newspaper headlines today is Barrister Evans Ufeli. You're welcome to Enterprise Weekend today.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for granting us your time today. So let's quickly go to our newspaper headlines and see what we have. And we're starting up with the Nation newspaper. And the big story there says a security crisis targeted 1 trillion economy in danger, says Tinubu. And the writer there says vows those working against national agenda will meet justice. And also still on the rider, we have insurgents kill pastor, 5 others in Yobe, 17 killed, 58 abducted as gunmen attack 3 Kaduna communities, and bandits abduct 7 family members, shoot policemen in FCT. And on the top of the same newspaper, we have controversy over senators, reps, Christmas rice palliative. And on the right of that story, we have Tinubu approved food items, not cash, for lawmakers, and it's coming from the presidency. And still on the right of the same news, of the same big story, we have some lawmakers have taken delivery, others being procured, reps, spokesperson. And on the bottom slip of the same newspaper, we have the sad one, Akeredolu's remains returned to Nigeria, and also row over auction stolen SUV bought by retired AIG. Barrister Evans, let's talk about this issue about the rate of insensitivity of our legislators, those those Nigerians elected to serve them. And it has here controversy over senators' rep Christmas rice palliative. Does that mean our legislators are stone cold about issues in Nigeria, such that they can, randomly, make decisions for themselves and enjoy the palliatives while they know Nigerians, the electorates, are still not having anything to take home?
It's a surprising situation where you now have lawmakers scouting about for rice and palliative. You understand? And this is not even for their constituency.
For themselves?
Yes, for themselves. Lawmakers, parliamentarians who are supposed to be honorable members of society, who are supposed to set agenda or set an example for which the led should follow. They are the ones involved in rice scrambling. Before you know, they will start to do rice racketeering. They will turn it into something else and all that. So it tells you that our society, any society where both the led and the leaders have survivor mentality, where it's just about me, and all that. Every other person can go to hell. This is the kind of thing you see. You understand? Leaders are supposed to serve the people, okay? They have never one day sat before that house to deliberate on the fact that the 5 billion naira that the federal government gave to governors as palliatives didn't get to the people. And in states where it got to the people, 2 bags of rice got to the community. They have never taken it as an issue in Parliament to discuss and to provide solution as to how the full amount of money should be accounted for. And same, the palliative should be given to these followers or the downtrodden or the poor. They have never oversighted that. Rather, they are scouting for their own rise.
But do you think there is a psychological explanation to why our leaders behave this way? Because the truth of the matter is, most of these people representing us in both chambers of the National Assembly have one time or another been. They occupied the seats of the governors. They've gone there multiple times. Most of them, have held leadership positions and all that. And I would, lots of people might not agree with me, but I want to believe most of them are multi-millionaires.
Yes.
In dollars, in multi-billionaires in naira. Why is it? What is there any psychological explanation to all of this?
The psychological explanation to it is a slavery mentality. Okay.
On the part of the legislators?
Yes, slavery mentality. You know what a slave does? A slave is so conscious about his survival that he loses his reputation. That's one of the attributes of a slave. Now, you are not a slave in the physical sense that you are under a master or you are chained somewhere. You don't need a chain, or you don't need to be under a master. You just need to have a mentality of a slave. And one of the things slave does is no matter where they get to, the height they get to in life, they are still so conscious about their sit tightism, hold tightism, and in doing that, they lose their reputation, they lose their humanity. That's what is going on here. You don't even need to get to the position of a senator before you are very comfortable. How much money do you need to live?
True.
Even as a councillor, even as a local government chairman, at that level you have, you are established, technically speaking. You understand? And you see, leadership in Nigeria, there is no thought. There is no thought in the head of the leader about whether the people have eaten or not. There is no thought. You understand? These are people in public offices. I, in private sector, I know this Christmas, I know how many families I had to reach out to. You understand? Before, I didn't even remember myself until the new year. You understand? So, but these ones that are using public funds that is supposed to be used for the people, they convert it. And then you find them, sometimes they will fight and throw chairs. We are lucky they not break down to that level where maybe they will start to throw the rice at the assembly house. You understand? We've seen similar situations before. And it just tells you that these people are not, they are shameless. That's the first thing. And the worst thing that can happen to a people is when you have a leader that is shameless. Because once you have, shame is the only dignity that clothes the human person. So if a person does not have it, it means that you elected a disaster.
Is it ever possible to unravel all of this? Is it ever possible to, to come back home in the minds of these people? And what do you think could be, that particular thing that could be done to help these people? Because it seems to me there are people of special needs.
Yeah, they are people of special needs. They are helpless. You understand? They see, the only thing is that the orientation, they have to be reorientated.
By the media?
Not by the media.
Or just
they attend leadership courses now. They go for leadership courses. I think there's one even in Abuja, parliamentary studies or legislative studies. Yes. So it is, you see, because training is important. That is if training is going to have any effect on them. Because sometimes, no matter the training you give to a slave, they are slaves. You understand? You see, the leadership model, okay, that was handed down through the leadership of Jesus, for example, where before he left the disciples, he took a towel and washed their feet. What he did there was, he has taught them to the point where theory was so much that he needed to send this message home practically.
To be pragmatic about it.
Yes, and he washed their feet. What that represents is, and in that same verse, he said that the Son of Man, okay, came to serve and not to be served. Okay, our leaders have not gotten to the point where they even have the consciousness that they are elected to serve. They only say that during campaign. But when they get there, they fail the people, they fail the system and they don't care because they get away with it. Okay, that's exactly what. So I agree with you that there are people of special need and they need help, serious help. The help will come from everywhere. There are leadership training, the media, the public. You understand? They must know that they are elected to serve the people. So if the people don't have anything to eat during the Christmas or the New Year, it's an indictment on their leaders. Because their leaders shouldn't be eating while the followers are begging. That is why when they took money to buy all those bulletproof cars, that's what a slave does. Because he knows that he has offended the people and he could be attacked any moment. So what he does is, in order to ensure his own security, he buys a bulletproof car, knowing he's a criminal. Yes, he has taken the people's patrimony and expended on himself. So he tries to put himself under that place so that he's not attacked by the people that he has shortchanged. But at the end of the day, in the long run, they are still failures.
Exactly. Now let's talk about I guess this should be a crisscross, from what we had discussed before, and talking about leadership, issues, and security crisis, because this made the big story. The security crisis targeted 1 trillion economy in danger, says Tinubu. Is it just realizing that it's possible that a $1 trillion economy foreseeable in Nigeria is in danger?
It's in danger, yes, because you see, there is no amount of resources or wealth that insecurity cannot deplete. Do you know why we're servicing the Chinese loan till now? It was because insurgents took over the Abuja Kaduna expressway, railway. Insurgency took over that as is. Every community they raid down and rename. Millions of resources from the economy is tied down, is gone. Because the people whose survivor are tied to those axes, they are disrupted, they are what? They are displaced. Now, many of them are killed, economic loss, many of them are displaced. And when a citizen is displaced, the federal government is compelled to provide for them and the IDP. Okay? So when the number in the IDP increases, the cost of feeding them will increase because the responsibility of government. Okay, so that's what he's saying. So what do you do in that situation? Is to get the right strategy to exterminate. And these insurgents, they are people that you have the capacity to completely eliminate and
annihilate.
Yes, but you are afraid to do that. So failing to do that, there's a ripple effect on the economy. Okay, there's a ripple effect on human capital, life and livelihood. Most of the lawmakers you see cannot go to their villages.
True.
Some governors live in Abuja.
True.
So they are that shameless. They are unable to address insecurity, yet they sit down and discuss rice. They sit down and discuss rice. When you have failed the people, there are things you should not discuss. You should be sober. You should be sober for failing people. Like a man who cannot take care of his household should be sober, should not be proud.
True.
of that, you understand? So here we have people who are shameless. They are not responsible enough to understand that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government.
Exactly. So let's move to the next daily we have today, and it's coming from the Saturday Vanguard. And the big story there says, retired Admiral tells Tinubu what to do to vessel used in stealing crude oil. And he said, blow them up with their crew. And on the rider, it says, reveals how top Nigerian banks, security agencies, judiciary are involved. Only a government with strong political will can stop oil theft. And still on the rider, we have declare war on those sucking our blood because they want us to die. And on the top slip of the same newspaper, we have Plateau land grabbing, real reasons for the killings. And on the bottom of the newspaper, we have Nigerian universities are also guilty of certificate racketeering. And the rider there says study centers, satellite campuses, breeding grounds. Now, let's talk about this, would I call it admonition or an advice from a retired admiral saying the best solution to oil bunkering and criminals who steal our crude oil is to blow them up with their crew. Does that really make any practical sense?
Well, there's a sense in which that could stand as a deterrence to stop it. But it's not enough to just say blow them up. Because I know the Nigerian armed forces, when it comes to blow them up, they may take this advice now and start to blow up innocent investors.
Innocent villages.
Innocent investors. I mean, they're talking about the ship should be blown up on the sea with the crew and crude, everything they have stolen. Before you do that, before you exercise that kind of activity, you must have what they call precision. Precision. If you don't have precision, don't even go there, because they may even turn around and blow up the Navy ship. You know, we have one of the Navy ships that is as big as, we have one of the Navy ships stationed that you cannot see after 14 nautical miles into the sea. A ship that's as big as Ikeja on the high sea. You understand? So we have those facilities there, but you see, it is extrajudicial to say so. Extrajudicial to execute a suspect without ascertaining the guilt or innocence of the person. Now, I'm talking from the human rights point of view. But I think this statement is coming out of frustration. Okay? It's coming out of frustration because, but even the retired Navy should tell us more too, because we've seen situations where the Navy have been indicted too.
Beautiful. Because, yes.
The Navy have been indicted as, you know, being accomplices to the oil thefts.
True.
And what is stolen daily from Nigeria in terms of crude can actually fix the problem of lack in this society. We're talking about rice. You see, we are so rich that we are so rich in Nigeria. Some people will say Nigeria don't have money. I agree, but not the money for feeding. Not not the money to live a good life. We may not have the money to go and buy another country.
Or to fly to space.
Or to go to space, or whatever it is. But we have sufficient money, we have the arable land, we have the resources to feed ourselves, to the brim, to feed Africa. We have it. We have it. So, but when your highest earnings, your natural resources that give you the highest yield is stolen on a daily basis, and nothing is done about it. Someone is saying blow them up.
Yeah.
Well, blow them up. Well, how many are we going to blow up? Will we incur international sanctions?
Exactly. Because I actually wanted to ask, because why should...
We will incur international sanctions.
True.
One of the sanctions we incur is pollution. We'll be polluting the waters. Okay? That may take us to the International Court of Justice, because neighboring countries will bring action against us. 2, human rights incursion. Okay, you want to blow up, see, even if those citizens who have gone to steal our oil, even if their country have rejected them, that these people are criminals, the day you blow them up, their country will come after you. Why are you killing our citizens? They will start to kill your own citizens in their country. So we need to be careful to say blow them up. Blow them up sound like the solution. But in the long run, I will not encourage that. I will rather that we arrest them, profile them, prosecute them. You understand? Use it, get more information from them. Who are the buyers? If they are not buyers, the thieves will not be stealing. The buyers are also inculpable, because buying stolen goods is an offense. You understand? So, but if you blow them up with evidence. You blow up everything. You will not even know where they are coming from, who they are, who sent them, who among us, who among within that is aiding them. Exactly. It is when you arrest them, they will confess. Confessional statement will lead to deeper investigation.
True.
And when investigation is deepened, we're almost at the point where you will now get to the root causes of this, and then you're able to exterminate. That is my own thought. I do not think that blowing them up with their code
is actually
yeah, because we'll end up blowing ourselves up.
Exactly.
Yes.
So let's look at this issue of and of course it has made big story headlines, the Plateau Massacre, and it's saying here land grabbing, real reasons for killings. And my question is this: why is it suddenly coming to the realization of those in authority that this is actually the remote reason why this killings are happening?
Because investigation and conversation have been on it for a long time.
Or is it because we have Tinubu now and no longer Buhari, who of course has been covering all of that?
Yeah, Buhari was nonchalant about it. When you say there is a tussle between the natives and settlers, they will tell you that no, that is political. Okay? When you probe forward and say, what is political about killings here? Is there an election? Is somebody targeted? But at the end of the day, it's not hard to know that the problem is feudal. It's feudalism. Okay? It's about land grabbing. That's what it is. The natives made a very huge mistake in the early days. The people of Jos, virtually all the tribe, the Birom, the Angas, they are liberal.
Could that be a mistake, or could that be their sense of hospitality?
Yeah, that is their sense of hospitality, but that sense of hospitality is giving them the run for their lives now. They sold virtually their lands to, there are places where they don't sell land to foreigners, even though every foreigner by the constitution, every, what they call it, a visitor, a stranger by the constitution is allowed to own property anywhere in the country. You understand?
That's a Nigerian can own land anywhere in
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
You can. You understand? That is because the constitution did not envisage that it will come to a time when people are given access to land, they want to now take over the entire place. The constitution couldn't have envisaged that. If not, there would have been exceptions and provisos under that. Section 44 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. There would have been provisos where the provisos will be put there. But what we are seeing today in Jos is a clear case of a man who has opened his doors for strangers to come and settle, who is so generous and hospitable to people, which is the actual idea of social integration. And that's what the indigenes of Plateau State have done is actually not different from what the federal government replicated as the NYSC program.
True.
Yes, where people from the north go to the south they intermarry, they relate, so that there will be
unity in diversity.
So that there will be peaceful coexistence of the human person. But there are people who have sown evil within that same. They are taking advantage of the hospitality of these people. I live in Jos for a long time, so I know how the people, the indigenes, they hardly will you find them fighting, killing. Or they don't have such in them. So the strangers, if there's any problem in Jos, it was brought by strangers. And those strangers have taken over a huge chunk of the space. And they now see the owners of the land as the strangers who should be forced out into extinction. And nobody should condone that. Nobody should accept that. Okay, so I am glad that the federal government is coming to the realization that the specific issue is about land grabbing. What did the law say about land grabbing in Nigeria? So let them now apply it. It's not enough to identify the problem. You must address it. You must address it. I think the federal government should, go to that region and interface with the people directly and solve the problem once and for all. Let there be serious warning as to whoever does what, when, how, and all that is at variance or inimical to the people, there should be heavy sanctions, and those sanctions should be implemented. Until we do that, because we live in a country where leaders are not courageous enough to, condemn the criminal activity of their tribesmen. Buhari could not. The criminal activity that went around that exists for 8 years, he couldn't address it. He couldn't, he glossed over it.
But what do you think is the political will of Caleb Mutfwang, especially with the issues he is having currently with Supreme Court, and he's literally begging the Supreme Court not to take over this seat from him? Do you think the political will would possibly be there to address these issues, knowing that he's trying to appease with everyone?
No, it's not the governor now. Defense is under exclusive list. It's not the governor that, the governor, virtually or helpless. It is the federal government that will address insecurity, defense in that axis. The governor have a role to play as chief security officer of the state, but not to the extent of quelling the federal government will have to, design a special program, okay? A special operation, not Rafi Adole or the other one, or operation, a special program that will send the armed forces permanently on that axis. They have a Rukuba barrack.
Yes.
But I don't think that command is on any special mission on that axis. So there must be a special mission, you understand, whether it's peacekeeping or whether it's defense, whatever you call it, that will take over that area completely. And these soldiers should live among the people to get information on how these people are completed.
Exactly. So let's move to very quick to our last daily for today, and that's coming from the Guardian newspaper, and the big story there says insecurity ensure victory against threats. Tinubu charges security chiefs. And on the right there, we have experts to governors. Nigerians want proper implementation of 2024 budget, not colorful headlines. And that's coming on page 2 of the newspaper. Lagos Assembly passes 2.267 trillion naira 2024 budget. Now, let's talk about a bit on Lagos State. It just passed its budget of 2.267 trillion naira, which makes it the highest in Nigeria, apart from the Nigeria itself as a state. Now the question is, with what we have in Lagos State, do you think this budget makes any sense, especially when you juxtapose Lagos State as a city with its contemporaries, Cape Town in South Africa, Casablanca, and so on and so forth in Africa? Let's not even cross outside of Africa. These are cities that should stand toe to toe with Lagos. But when we look at it practically, Lagos is nowhere close to 10% of these cities. What meaning do you think this budget?
Lagos was even before most of those cities. Lagos became a crown colony in 1861.
Whoa.
What a crown colony means that Lagos in 1861 was an extension of England. You understand? And even after the independence, Lagos was still being administered from England up until 1963, Republican Constitution. So Lagos is a city to reckon with by history, colonialism, and cosmopolitanism. Okay, but the same Lagos have an issue. It has the issue of overpopulation.
Is that the issue?
Yeah, it is. It's one of the issues. It has an issue of overpopulation. Now, overpopulation itself, no matter what government invests, no matter the resources government, it will be messed up by overpopulation. One is guaranteed. Two is a state where democracy is not obtained by merit. Sadly, Lagos is supposed to lead the other state in terms of absolute democracy. Governance should be by merit, but no.
Well, it seems like it's bequeathed.
No, democracy is hijacked in Lagos. Somebody determines who will become whatever, when and how, and you must be subservient to that source. So that reduces the impact of governance. They may think they are governing well because they are able to tap few roads, they are able to put up few bridges, and make an attempt at transportation, and try as much as possible to give the people fake hope. Apart from that, there's nothing left. It's not different from any other state. And because of the huge population, they have a lot of yield in terms of IGR, huge one, such that Lagos can sustain itself without the federal government.
True.
Yes, because it has a seaport, it has an airport, all the economic indices. In fact, it is called the economic capital of West Africa, and that is the truth. Lagos should be, Togo is not up to the size of Lagos. Togo as a country. It's not to the size of Lagos as a state, and you understand. Ordinarily, Lagos should be a country of its own, with a very small landmass, but with a very viable economy. Viable economy not because the government prompt the economy to be viable, because of commerce and activity. So it has a natural propensity to have a viable economy. It's a place where people can easily find their feet, as much as there's a huge market for anything you want to engage in. You understand? Not like most states. But that budget, well, very ambitious budget. Why I say ambitious because Lagos, they have huge projects at hand as we speak. There's a fourth mainland bridge in the pipeline. Okay, there is an attempt to utilize the waterways properly for transportation. There is
but all of this which you're saying are not possibly included in the budget. So we're talking about they are there.
No, they're in the budget.
Okay.
They're in the budget. Look at capital expenditure now. Capital expenditure is higher than recurrent.
Okay.
Yes. So when you have a budget that have an ambitious capital expenditure, you know that the target of that budget is infrastructural development, because recurrent is salaries of workers, a calculation of the workers at the ministry, the senators, the parliaments, and all government functionaries, and what government will use money for in a particular year comes under recurrent. But capital expenditure has to do specifics. We are fixing this, we are fixing this, we are fixing this. We are fixing, you have cameras all over the states. You have traffic surveillance cameras. Okay, and Lagos State is doing well. It's doing well in a way. Yes, they're doing well in a way, but it's just that the sad thing about it is that the cities you mentioned now have gone past what Lagos State they're trying to do. Because in those cities, it's local government that tar roads.
Beautiful.
You understand?
True.
Local government tar, and because in those cities they have true federalism, most of them. So because you know that the lack of federalism we have at the center also affect the states. The local governments don't do anything.
Exactly.
They just send salary to them, give local government chairman, go and pay salary. That's all. Attend to traditional rulers. The next thing is there's no much assignment. But as from 1999 even to 2003, local governments in Lagos, they were building roads. You know, Jodu here, yes.
Before 1999.
I mean, what I'm saying, I say from 1999, 2003, 2003, 26, 27. All the streets you find in Ojodu, Ikeja,
that's hard.
they were built by Ikeja local government.
So at what point did all of this stop?
Recently, you don't hear you don't see the local government doing any plausible projects. You understand? It's just the state, and after the state, in South Africa that you mentioned, it is the local government that construct roads in their local government. So when they get their allocation, they look at all the roads in that local government, which one is bad, which one is to be renovated, which one is to be constructed, and they construct them. They have the fundings to do that. But here, the concentration of centralization stifles the flow from head to bottom. So if head, middle, and bottom have even resources, you know that development will even. Because why the bottom construct to this point, the center takes to this point,
Continue, yeah.
the head takes to that point.
Exactly.
Then you have unification.
True.
You have continuity.
Yeah.
So, but here it's not that way. It's not that way. So that's why I think the lack of federalism, okay, and sometimes corruption in the state, and the lack of opposition. Opposition is not there. There's no opposition politics in Lagos. How many political parties have you seen that have, what do you call it, organized press conference to tell the APC that Lagos is mismanaged?
Exactly.
None. So when nobody is saying, what do you expect? The opposition is supposed to make them sit up. There's no opposition. The citizens are too preoccupied with the cross of survival. It's only the indigenes, sometimes one or two of them, when they are so, angry, they start to talk about the fact that, and they don't say it that long, because you say it to a point and you'll be overwhelmed by the doctrine of Baba Sokwe. Once Baba Sokwe is, sometimes you collapse at it. They are not. Lagos should be better than it is today, except that there are no opposition, there are no people, nobody is questioning the government. So everything the government does is fine.
True. Well, that's actually a very humorous one. But what would we do? And that's just about the time we have on our newspaper reviews today. And I'd love to say thank you to Barrister Evans Ofeli. Thank you so very much, sir, for being part of our show today. And when we return, EFCC seems to be on its toes with issues related to financial and economic crimes eradicating in Nigeria. More in a jiffy. When we come back, please don't go anywhere.